Hi, my name's MK1 Jeffrey Rubman. I'm with the Engineering Systems School of Fast Response Cutter staff at Training Center Yorktown. This video will cover the removal and installation of the MTU-20V 4000 M93L piston. The MPC that coincides with this task is alpha 15179.d. This task will normally be performed as part of a 6,000-hour QL3 maintenance or as a corrective maintenance upon failure. This video is for familiarization with the task and shall not take the place of official procedures promulgated by Petroba product line. Ensure you follow all safety guidelines outlined in the maintenance procedure card. Now let's cover the tools you'll need. Piston ring spreaders, snap ring plier, carbon scraper ring removal tool, 3/8 drive torque wrench, 18mm ratcheting wrench, ring compressor, 20mm 3/4 inch drive, 20mm 1/2 inch drive, 16mm 3/8 drive, 3/4 drive socket wrench, 1/2 inch drive socket wrench, 1/2 inch drive torque wrench, Sharpie, 3/8 drive socket wrench, 3/8 drive long extension, piston removal tool, barring gear, 3/4 inch drive torque wrench. Outside micrometer set 0 to 150 millimeters. Piston liner standard, large bore gauge with increments of 1/1000th of a millimeter. Depth gauge, inside bore gauge with increments of 1/1000th of a millimeter. Piston ring gap clearance tool, metric feeler gauges, and for consumables, engine lube oil. It is required to remove the fuel injector and valve cover per MPC alpha 53010.d, to drain the coolant per MPC alpha 51111.d, to remove the intake manifold per MPC alpha 52059.d, to remove the valve gear per MPC alpha 15050.d, and to remove the cylinder head per MPC alpha 15012.d. We've already done this, so let's get started.
Remove the carbon scraper ring with the MTU carbon scraper ring removal tool. If necessary for the piston you are removing, disconnect the splash oil and/or bearing temperature sensor connector. Remove the necessary inspection ports for the cylinder or cylinders you are removing the piston or pistons from. Using the barring gear, rotate the engine to gain access to remove the connecting rod cap bolts. Break free, but do not remove the connecting rod cap bolts. Using the barring gear, rotate the crankshaft to bring the piston of the cylinder concerned on the A side to 20 to 25 millimeters after top dead center, and on the B side to 20 to 25 millimeters before top dead center, measured from the cylinder liner top edge to the top of the piston crown. Once the piston is removed, the oil passage on the crankshaft should be at about the 12 o'clock position. Remove the connecting rod cap bolts and carefully remove the connecting rod cap. Connect the MTU piston lifting tool to the top of the piston and carefully lift the piston and connecting rod out of the cylinder liner. Take caution not to damage the cylinder liner. The tool configuration may differ slightly. Have a shipmate have their hand in the crankcase to catch the upper bearing if it drops out. Use snap ring pliers and remove the snap rings. By hand or using a non-metallic block, press out the piston pin while holding the connecting rod firmly in position. Then remove the connecting rod from the piston. The new piston will come with the piston pin and snap rings in place. Remove the piston pin first. Then, using the MTU piston ring removal tool, remove the piston rings from the new piston assembly. Clean and, using an outside micrometer, measure the diameter of the piston pin per maintenance procedure card. Using a bore gauge, measure the piston pin bore in the piston and conrod per maintenance procedure card. On the connecting rod, do not put the bore gauge into the oil groove. Using outside micrometers, measure the piston skirt and crown diameters per maintenance procedure card. Take care not to damage the special coating on the piston skirt. Using feeler gauges and a micrometer, measure the piston ring grooves per maintenance procedure card. Using feeler gauges and the MTU standard, measure the piston ring end gap per maintenance procedure card. Using the MTU piston ring installation tool, install the piston rings per maintenance procedure card. There's one oil control and two compression rings. The maintenance procedure card will list the position of the rings by part number. Ensure that the part numbers face upward, and if the word top is on the piston ring, that it also faces upward. When positioning the piston ring end gaps, do not position them directly over the piston pin bore, and try to stagger the gaps at approximately 120 degrees. Using a bore gauge and standard, measure the installed cylinder liner bore per maintenance procedure card. This will take place at several different places in the liner. Using outside micrometer, measure the carbon scraper ring diameter per maintenance procedure card. Install the scraper ring and measure the scraper ring bore per maintenance procedure card. Remove the carbon scraper ring. Install one piston snap ring retainer in the piston with the gap facing the bottom of the piston skirt. Lubricate the piston pin and piston pin bore of the piston and connecting rod with engine oil. Note, it is important to position the conrod with the short arm of the rod in alignment with the notch in the piston skirt for the oil spray nozzle, and then insert the piston pin. Install the remaining piston snap ring retainer with the gap towards the bottom of the piston skirt. Install the MTU piston lifting tool. It is important to ensure that the crankshaft is in the correct position for installing the piston per the maintenance procedure card. The connecting rod journal lube oil passage will be facing the approximate 12 o'clock position. Place the MTU piston ring compressor on top of the liner If it doesn't fit, you forgot to remove the scraper ring after measuring. Thoroughly lubricate the ring compressor tool, the conrod bearing and journal, and the piston with engine lube oil. Ensure the piston and connecting rod assembly is installed with the notch for the oil spray nozzle and the short arm facing the outboard side. Carefully guide and install the piston and conrod assembly into the liner. Lower, but do not drop the assembly until the bearing makes contact with the journal. With the bearing installed in the connecting rod cap, lubricate the bearing and the connecting rod bolts. Install the conrod cap with the part numbers on the same side as the conrod to hand tight. After hand tight, tighten to specified pre-torque per maintenance procedure card. The engine will need to be barred during this process to gain access to the connecting rod bolts. The final torque is a 90-degree torque. Using paint pens, mark your positions. After the final torque, complete your check torque per maintenance procedure card. Install the carbon scraper ring. Install the inspection ports for the cylinders you installed the piston into. Tighten to specified torque. If necessary, connect the splash oil or bearing temperature pressure sensor. Complete reassembly by following the listed maintenance procedure cards. Once all installation is complete, conduct a performance test to make sure repairs were successful.